everybody. I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about the possibility of us being caught in a Catch-22. And for those of you who don't know, maybe you're younger and you've never heard the term before, a Catch-22 is a situation that you can't get out of. Either, you have a limited amount of choices, you have two choices, and either one is bad. You can't get out of the situation you're in because every option you have is unacceptable. And that term came from a book called Catch-22 that I read in high school. I don't know when it was written. I think it was written maybe in the 60s or the 50s. But it was about some soldiers on an island during World War II, I think. But it was a really popular book, and that term, Catch-22, made its way into popular culture. So as a modern day example of a Catch-22, we have Microsoft Windows, right? And everybody plays video games on Microsoft Windows. You got to have a Windows machine to play PC games. All right. Now, why? Why does everybody use Windows? Everybody uses Windows to play PC games because all the game manufacturers, the game makers, the game developers only make games for Windows PC. That's it. They don't make games for other platforms like there are games made for other platforms, but not the big AAA games. So they don't make them for Linux, OS X, any of the other platforms. And so why do the game developers only make games for Linux or for Windows rather? Well, they only make games for Windows because that's where all the gamers are. Okay? So the game developing companies and the gamers have each other in a Catch-22. They can't go anywhere else because that's where they are. If game developers started developing games for Linux, they'd go bust. If gamers started using Linux, they wouldn't have any games to play. You see what I'm saying? So they've got each other caught there on Windows with Microsoft. And all of them hate Microsoft. The gamers hate Microsoft, and the developers hate Microsoft. But they've got no choice because they've got each other trapped there. It's a Catch-22. They can't get out. And I see that on a broader scale, these Catch-22s in society. And I'm talking about Western civilization. Specifically America, because this is where I live and this is where I see all this stuff happening. But I'm almost positive that it's happening around Western civilization. And I don't understand why it's not happening in Asian countries, why all this woke stuff isn't happening in these Asian countries, why we don't see these Asian people protesting. And I'm not talking about China, and North Korea. They're communists on lockdown. I understand that. I'm talking about Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, the democratic kind of westernized, Western as in political, you know what I mean? Democratic or republic politically. But they don't have these problems. You never see protesters in Japan talking about free Palestine or I'm with Israel or any of that stuff. You never see that. Why? Why don't you see that in Asian countries? That's something that popped into my head. A question that baffles me. So, but anyway, on a larger scale, these Catch-22s with this woke left liberal ideology and then the more conservative centralized MAGA and even on the right, they're in a Catch-22. The common sense normal people like you and me will we would gladly extend an olive branch over to the left and say, hey, let's put this dog to rest. Let's bury the hatchet. Let's get our country. Let's fix our country. Let's come together on some common issues. You know what I mean? And fix things. Let's, do this democratically. And okay, so we would do that. We would be willing to do that, but we can't, because those liberals on the left, those woke radical people on the left, they don't think that way. They want us dead. Literally, they say it. I'm not making this up. Look online. They want us to die. They pray for it. They hope for it. They threaten. They're violent. They're not going to do that. And we can't give up, just surrender control to them, because they'll destroy everything. They'll have us living in 1984. They're begging for it because they're brainwashed and they don't know what they're asking for. They literally don't. They think they're asking for heaven when in actuality they're asking for hell. They're that brainwashed. I watch that kind of stuff. I pay attention to them, and they literally think that just the common sense person, live and let live, just everybody be themselves and try to get along with each other. Those people are brainwashed and in a cult. Us, just normal people, I don't care what you do what you do. Just leave me alone. That's a cult now. They believe that we're in a cult. They believe that we're brainwashed, that we're just completely lost. Yeah. And they say it all the time. And they wish us harm because we just want everybody to be free, to do as they please without hurting the next person. Just be yourself and be as whatever as you want to be. Now that, in their mind, is dangerous. That's violence. I'm not kidding. They actually believe this shit. So we cannot surrender to them. We can't. It's not an option. And they feel the same way about us. They literally believe that we are destroying America they have been brainwashed into thinking the founding fathers were the most evil, hate-filled people on the planet ever conceived, to ever be born. And that all this whole thing is patriarchy and tyranny and racism, and they've been brought up into that. I honestly cannot blame them. I blame the system. Now, the responsibility goes back to responsibility. Whose responsibility is it? Yes, they have some responsibility. They can easily wake the hell up. Just do some research online. But that's not as easy as it is saying it. I can sit here and say that shit all day, but that's not as easy as it sounds when all of your friends and family are, believing this shit. This insane, wacky shit. To do that, you would have to try to convince everyone around you, not only yourself, but everyone around you, that they're all crazy. And that's just not going to happen. And that's why this stuff happens in these big cities. Because an idea can spread, and then as people are included into this group, people will adopt that group because they claim to be inclusive. But you have to jump through all kinds of hoops and modify your body and all this other shit to be included, right? You have to hate the other side. But once you're in, you're in. All you have to do is quack like a duck and follow the rules, and you're in. Once you start thinking for yourself, you're out. And that kind of group builds, and it builds quickly. In these big cities, Not only that, in these big cities, people don't pay as much attention to education and stuff, right? To the education of their children. They're too busy, the rush of a big city, and you're doing this and that, and they're always busy and always rushing around. So you don't have time to see what's going on at school and what your kids are being taught. Now, in a smaller town, a tiny little town, you're going to hear about that shit. Because there's going to be some nosy old grandma who sees some teacher carrying a pride flag into the classroom, and then word's going to get around, and there's going to be a bunch of angry parents there. You know what I'm saying? So in a tiny town, a real small town, or a rural community, it's harder to get that kind of stuff going. But in a city, it'll spread like wildfire, and that's what we've seen. That's why all these big cities are blue. That's why they all vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, no matter what. And they can't give in to us because we're evil. The Founding Fathers were evil. Anybody who believes in the Founding Fathers is brainwashed and evil. Anybody who believes in what their message that they passed down to us. Anybody who believes in freedom, hard work, the American dream, and all these things, we're all evil. And to convince that entire population at once it's impossible. It's not going to happen. They'll never. And the thing that I have against the people that I have problems with the most are the older people over there with this shit, right? I mean, I can forgive the young people 100%. You're 19, 20, 25 years old, and you're a leftist wackadoo. You get a pass, okay? You're 45, 50, 60 years old, and you're still clinging on to this Democrat thing, the uniparty, when both presidents, Mitt Romney and when Obama ran, Mitt Romney and Obama, they were both Democrats. Mitt Romney ran under the Republican thing. Yeah, I'm a Republican. If you haven't seen through that yet, that it's a uniparty and they're just propping up two of the same people, they just look different on the outside, and you get to choose which one you want. But they're both going to do the exact same thing when they get in office. It's just, I have a tougher time forgiving the older people, the people with world experience who have had time to research this shit and wake the hell up. But the kids, they still got time. We got to give them a chance to do some growing up, in my opinion. But as long as these schools keep indoctrinating them, we're in trouble. Hopefully, and Trump plans to dismantle the Department of Education. That's the first thing. If he can get that one thing done in this term, and then that's a major win. Hopefully, the next person we get in office can accomplish something in another area. But yeah, these are the Catch-22s that we find ourselves in. We're damned if we do and damned if we don't. So how do we get out of it? That's the question. Because we cannot extend an olive branch to people that are that damn crazy and literally want us to die. That right there. They actually believe that we're the violent lunatics when every single time violence is enacted for political reasons, it's from the left. Every single time. I'm not talking about, 75%, 100%. Every single time, it's from the left. It's these lunatics. And I don't want them hurt. I don't want them all rounded up. I want them to be free. Because our founding fathers told us that all men are created equal. All men have freedom given by God, not by each other, not by the state. I want them to be able to pursue happiness. I believe in freedom for every single human being on the planet, but not the freedom to take away someone else's freedom. And I know that there are a lot of people, all of us, I would say, because none of us are enacting violence against the left. None of us. Nobody is. It's all the other way. So that tells me right there that most people, all people, believe how I believe. We just want them to come around and just be free with the rest of us. Help us make this country free. That's all we want. And they want us to die. So that tells you how twisted the logic is on the brain, how deep the brainwashing goes. When someone's literally telling you, I want the best for you, I want you to be free, and you tell them, I want you to die. You're a racist bigot. Yeah, it's insane. So that's why they're so brainwashed and so inured in the system and the message from the left-wing media, the propaganda, that they would never reach across the aisle. They just won't. Now, common sense will tell us that we need to reach across the aisle. We should, but we can't give them the reins. They won't accept us reaching across the aisle, but if we just completely back off, our country will go to shit. We'll be communist China in one term if we just completely let it go. It would only take one good term with a full-on leftist president and leftist Congress, and we'd be communist China. And I'll leave you there with that. And if you see other Catch-22s in society, in life, please put those down in the comments. Let me know, because I'm trying to think of other ones that I don't notice. Just looking around, I've noticed a few, but if you see any obvious ones, please put them down so I can know and I'll pay attention to them. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel by becoming a member, I'll leave that link down in the description, or you can go over to the channel page and become a member that way. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Or you can head over to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. Thank you very much. I appreciate those of you who do that. If you're interested in Gen X gear, you can hop over to Redbubble and see what we have over there. All kinds of Gen X and Gen X Thinks branded stuff. Pretty cool stuff. Coffee mugs, stickers, t-shirts, all that kind of stuff. But I will leave that link down in the description as well. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That's important and it helps out a lot. Thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate it. If you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments, or you can email us in the emails over on the channel page. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.